Good evening everyone, welcome to the Severe Weather Chasers brief update on the Queensland or the North Queensland rainfall. We can see last night we had some really good falls of rain. Lucinda 72 millimetres, Matani 57, some really good falls in parts of the Townsville suburbs. That picked up some very heavy rain around 1 a.m. this morning. We've also had some decent falls in and around the Mackay area. The Whitsundays area, which was being predicted to pick up a fair bit of rain, unfortunately missed out. We do, though, have some falls of 5 to 15 millimetres in the Proserpine area. If we head further north, we see that there was definitely some very good rainfall in and around the Innisfail, Tully, all the way through south to Ingham region. Once again, Lucinda 72, Euramo 68, Tully Sugar Mill 61, Bulgan Creek 55, Marillion Mill 55, just west of Innisfail there, McAvoy Bridge over 50. So we've had moderate to heavy falls as expected, mostly to the north of Townsville, also as expected. However, as I say, most of the Townsville suburbs picked up anywhere from 5 to 20 mils overnight. This area has certainly been the hot spot today since 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We've had Clyde Road alert here, 76 millimetres to the north of Innisfail, but once again moderate falls of rain. Remembering moderate is 25 to 50 mils, so moderate falls of rain anywhere from sort of just south of Cairns all through to just north of Ingham. So we've seen some really good shower activity pushing onto the coast. Courtesy of Weather Zone, if we have a look at the latest Townsville radar, we can see that the rain is well and truly to the north of Townsville now. What we did see last night is we had a surge of southeasterlies push through in the lower to mid levels, and we had this rain cleared fairly quickly. We didn't expect this surge, so it was a little unexpected to see such a quick clearance of activity to the north. Unfortunately, that means Townsville will miss out on most of the rainfall on this early part of the event. If we head further north to Cairns, though, we see a definitely some good shower activity pushing onto that wet tropics coast, which is something this area has really lacked, and it's great to see finally this region receiving some reasonable falls of rain, considering they've had such a very dry February. And the reason they've been so dry is the fact that we've had no southeasterly flow at all onto the coast, which is something that's quite unusual. And on top of that, we've had no northwesterly monsoon for the entire month of February so far. And so couple those two things and you're going to get some very dry weather in here. So thankfully that's starting to ease off now, and thankfully should continue easing off now, and we should be returning more to average sort of conditions for the rest of this month in this area, maybe even slightly above average. However, even though we're entering that average period now, it's still the fact that we have had 2 weeks with very little rain in this region will probably still mean that overall for the month much of this region will remain below average for the month. So what's causing this shower activity? Well, basically not so much a trough system anymore. We've just got a high pressure system in here, and it's creating southeasterly winds feeding into a trough that's very localised here over northern far north Queensland. And it was since that trough pushed a little further northwards and this ridge pushed in underneath it, things have stabilised a lot more locally in the Townsville area and are continually unstable up this area. Also, if we notice that the isobars over here are coming in from the east-northeast, so we've got a nice east-northeast flow on the peninsula, which is maintaining rainfall. The model you're looking at right now is the European, courtesy of Weather Underground. What you're looking at right now is the cloud cover as shown by the European modelling, and we can see that we've got cloudy and rainy conditions anywhere to the north of, say, Rolling Stone, and we've got particularly rainy conditions here just on the ranges to the west of Tully, Innisfail, and that's exactly what we're seeing at the moment with the radar imagery that we've just shown. So why aren't we getting rain here in Townsville, and why aren't we getting rain here in Mackay? However, the Cairns area is. Well, this is a really nice chart here that shows you the flow, and the flow currently at the surface is quite dryish. It's coming in from the south-southeast, and it doesn't really have a lot of moisture to it. It's still reasonably strong, so we can see it's about 15 to 23 knots in this area. However, it is reasonably dry, and it's not really coming on shore. You can see here to the north of Ingham, though, that it does just drift towards the east and then dips up or pushes up. So we can see here a very localized trough system at the surface that's just lying just off the coast here between Ingham and Cairns, and it's very difficult to see if you don't know what you're looking for. So if you look at this streamline, how it goes this way and then juts up to the north, goes this way and then juts up to the north, we've got a little trough system just in through there. So that's creating the enhanced shower activity onto the North Tropical Coast at the moment. If we look, courtesy of Weather Underground again and the European modelling, if we look at the 925 hectopascal humidity levels, we can also see very humid conditions to the north of Ingham and drying out quite considerably as you get into the Herbert Burdekin, and we can see that using the darker orange colours tends to denote very high humidity levels, and we can also see the flow here at 925 hectopascals by following these. If we look at where our cloudiness is at the moment and overnight tonight, we can see a fair bit of cloudiness here, anywhere sort of north of Rolling Stone all the way through to Cairns, fairly clear towards the south as we get a much drier southeast stream. Interesting, I show you this at 4 AM tomorrow morning because the European model can really hone in and really picks up, because of its high resolution, the actual increase in low-level cloud just near the coast overnight. So you can see here by 4 AM we've got a little bit of cloudiness, in particular near the Townsville to Mackay area that hugs the coast, and if we zoom into those regions we can actually get into the possible suburbs that will see that thing. So you can see here that the very coastal suburbs of Townsville are more likely to see cloud or get close to the cloud than the further west suburbs. Now that's going to be a lot clearer when we start getting into rain events and start looking at specific suburbs and how much rain is expected to fall in them. Okay, so it's time now to look at where the rain will fall over the next 24 to 48 hours. So this is between 7 and 10 PM tonight. We can see most of the rain up there in the wet tropics coast, nothing much anywhere sort of south of Ingham. This is between 10 PM and 1 AM tomorrow. We can see that the rain generally eases up. There's a fair bit of rain happening up here to the north of Cooktown. Between 1 AM and 4 AM we see rain now quite light on the coastline and really limited to areas well to the north of Tully and just hugging the coast all the way through once again into the northern parts of Cape York Peninsula. Fairly dry anywhere else, with might be a very light drizzly shower overnight. 4 AM to 7 AM we actually see a bit further of a clearance in the North Tropical Coast even, and any rain that's falling now is really Tully northwards, and so once again very, very coastal. There might be a couple of drizzle periods in here in the Malanda area. 7 and 10 AM tomorrow morning we see very much hugging the coast and now pretty well moving to the north of Cairns even, and we do have some residual moisture in here creating some very, very light drizzly showers in the morning tomorrow just inland of the coast on those ranges. By 1 PM we've well and truly seen a clearance even through the North Tropical Coast, and we're now only looking at rainfall to the north of Cairns. By 4 PM we see the development of some very light convective spots of showers, or spot showers I should say, or pulse showers that are developing in some residual moisture that's been left behind from the southeast stream, and also with some heating of the land. By 7 PM tomorrow we see something very similar. However, those little spot showers are now really easing off, and we've also got this stuff to the north of Cairns easing off a little as well. By 10 PM tomorrow we see some showers developing on the northern beaches of Townsville and pushing also as far north as about Tully. Still reasonably dry here. You can see this. You can see just here the actual flow is now even drier than before, and so we're not getting the shower activity that we would normally expect from a southeast stream in between the Tully to Cairns area. it's really by 10 a.m. on Sunday morning that we start to see a redevelopment of general shower and rain activity on the coast, anywhere from just south of Mackay all the way through to Cooktown, as a trough system makes its way west from the Coral Sea through Saturday and then pushes onto the coast on the Sunday, and particularly towards Sunday night. And so we can see that using this rainfall chart mixed in with some surface charting, that we do tend to get a fair bit of rainfall then come Sunday 1 p.m. and then moving on to Sunday at 4 p.m. Sunday at 4 p.m. we see continual shower and storm activity now in through here with that easterly feed, and also we've got good shower activity along the coast, possibly even some thunderstorms embedded in that, and we've got just a general moist easterly feed now as opposed to a southeasterly. And if we zoom in towards Townsville and have a look at what suburbs are most prone to that, we can see that it's the southern suburbs of, say, Stewart and further towards the south, where we're looking towards the Mount Elliott area, and we also see there's a general decrease in potential further to the south towards Calcium, or further to the west towards Calcium and Reed River, and also around Maggie Island. We're not expecting to see as heavy of falls as we are, say, in the southern sections of town, and even getting close to the Ross River Dam. So this is part of the new graphics that we can provide now, looking at the model data in a little bit more detail, and once again we can even zoom that in further and have a really close look at a particular suburb. Once again, we are limited by the model resolution. The model resolution for the European is around about 17 or 18 kilometres, and so each little grid point is about 17 or 18 kilometres wide. So even though it might be showing this really tiny spot of enhanced rainfall here, that spot could be anywhere up to 17 or 18 kilometres either side of that. So it is quite inaccurate in that way. However, in terms of modelling, it's very accurate, considering it's a global model and it's looking this far out in advance. Coming up, though, after the Sunday, we are heading into a very active weather pattern. The following is a final look at the cloud cover that we're expecting between, say, Tuesday and Thursday next week, and just to show you what I mean about us getting into a much more active pattern. So this is by this modelling, it's Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. We can see a fair bit of cloud all through the northern districts. So we've got a lot of cloud in through here, fairly cloudless in the inland areas. By Wednesday afternoon, though, have a look at what happens to the entire region. We see extreme amounts of cloudiness over through the North Tropical Coast into the peninsula. We see an amazing amount of cloudiness developing inland of Queensland as an upper trough pushes into the region. We see good areas of moisture just to the south of Townsville as well. And if we continue on then and have a look at 10 p.m. Wednesday, we can see that this is obviously now thunderstorm activity all through inland Queensland, obviously thunderstorm activity, and general rain periods in through here, even south towards Yeppoon. A bit of a clearance in between Townsville and Mackay, and west to Moranbah and north again to Charters Towers. However, that clearance is only very short-lived. If we continue then to Thursday at 4 a.m. and we've got big cloudiness area here, which is just generally telling us that we're going to see rain and fairly widespread rainfall. It doesn't necessarily tell us how heavy it's going to be, but it does tell us that we're going to see general rain periods on the Thursday. And you can see by Thursday night the entire state is blanketed with cloud anywhere to the north of, well, we don't know further south because we don't cover it, but anywhere to the north of Rocky is just blanketed full of cloud. So we're definitely looking at some sort of rain event developing through the northern half of the state, as opposed to being a very localised coastal event, and it's likely to be due to an easterly stream with combining with an upper level trough over inland Queensland. The other thing that we need to note is this: while we're looking at a very long extended forecast into next Thursday, the European model, this is a shear forecast, so wind shear, the change of wind speed and direction with height for Queensland. And basically we can see that throughout the entire Coral Sea we need to see blue or red or purple to be conducive for tropical cyclone development. And at that stage of proceedings towards the end of next week, we see the entire Coral Sea extremely favourable for cyclone development in terms of the wind shear. However, we also see this upper level trough coming through here, but not pushing too far to the north. So there is good potential for anything to develop in the far northern Coral Sea towards the end of next week. However, once again, remember that cyclones need more than just good shear conditions to form, and unfortunately some of the other ingredients aren't coming together. However, we are looking at a potential fairly deep upper trough here, or fairly deep trough system, and a nice moist easterly feed creating just rain periods for the entire state come late next week. Thanks very much for watching tonight's update, and as I say, these new graphics, we're only starting to work with them, so we're not very confident in them, and we will get more confident in them and make sure that they're easier for you to understand and have a look at.